Just watch me mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here. But I'll need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito.
Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. Today is August 27, 2021. Yep, still 2021. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. My name's Dave. Hope everybody's doing well on this fine day. Hello, hello. Giorgio, would you like to wave hello? I have Giorgio with me today. Giorgio can wave hello, because today we're going to dive into some treasure hunt, treasure maps, and Relic Hunter feedback. Originally the plan here, Giorgio was going to hang out. We ran into some audio hiccups, so we need a little bit more time to set that up. Just a little bit different from switching from Windows to a Mac. There were some unforeseen audio challenges there, so we'll sort that out, and hopefully in the not too distant future we can kind of have an official co-host. But Giorgio's there in silence, sipping a coffee nevertheless. But I do have Giorgio in my ear. He can speak into my ear, so... He says, I can hear Dave. Dave is in my ears. But hello, everybody. Lady Nutsy, Script Dev, always nice to see you. Diamond, Rico, Frank, Math Awakening, Summer Feeling. Hello, hello. Well, today let's dive in here because we're prepping Relic Hunter Season 9. The team has a few different projects on the go. Working on Halloween, working on Relic Hunter season. We're even peeking ahead a little bit to the winter hunt as well. But Giorgio's kind of heading up. He's leading the charge here on Relic Hunter Season 9, and so he's really interested in player feedback and suggestions on the changing of the season. As you may know, we often make little tweaks, changes, quality of life improvements, that sort of thing when we do treasure maps. So the team has been exploring, ideating a few different things, and I've listed above us here, and the things that we're thinking about prioritizing. We'd love to hear kind of feedback and suggestions about that stuff. One of the mobile maps, the UI, it's a little bit dated. We've done a pass on it in the past, but it feels like it could be a little bit better as well. So if there's any mobile mappers out there, maybe you can kind of let us know your sentiments there as well. Do you find the navigating around when trying to use treasure maps from the mobile app, do you find that a little clunky, a little awkward? Audioless Giorgio, says Matthew. Unfortunately, we have audioless Giorgio, but he's here. He can pantomime. I do have him in my ear if he wants. If he can chime in here. He's in the chat as well. He's just chiming in. Yeah, I still have you on the screen there, Giorgio. He's tuning in. He's going to watch Feedback Friday right now. He's in the chat as well. Tarako says you need to learn sign language, Giorgio. There we go. And everyone watching would need to learn as well. Be a useful skill. He says he used to know a little bit of the alphabet. Yeah, Nid's in the chat there as well. That's Giorgio, if you're not familiar. That's his online moniker. He's in blue there. That's the moderator. Atima says a hard no on kicking people from map. You know, we have a few different kind of suggestions. That's kind of a little bit on the lower priority, but something we're exploring. It comes up as a topic of discussion quite frequently. And so we're kind of thinking about exploring that as optional, as something that the map captain can kind of opt in and out of. When you join the map as well, you know very well kind of what was the captain's preference there. And kind of the neat thing we're thinking about approaching it that way is it'll also give us better insight to see, well, like how many people use that feature and how many people don't use that feature, to kind of give us some concrete feedback on which direction to go in. As well as the community maps listing was another kind of topic of discussion as well. That was something we added last season as a bit of a beta feature, proof of concept. We both were not quite sure how well it was going to work and how seamless that was going to be. So we kind of launched it as a beta feature, and over the course of this season, we've gotten lots of feedback suggestions, and so we're looking to add kind of search, filter, sort, that sort of thing. Dave, maybe you could put Giorgio on the speaker. That did cross my mind as well. I thought if we should try that and move my microphone close to my speakers. Yeah, Giorgio says we tried that. It's a bit Still better than being audioless. We could give it a go. Do you want to give it a go, Giorgio? Worst case, you're just quiet anyway, right? All right, we're gonna. This is gonna be a bit amateur hour here, but let me just change my output to my speakers and hope nothing blows up. And I no longer. You are. I will max my.
Oh, I hear. Why do I hear myself? Oh, it's coming through you on Discord. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Am I a quiet little tinny speaker in your ears? It's been a while.
Yeah, Giorgio used to crash the
Can't
party.
hear you anymore, Dave. Are you still speaking?
Nope. Let me unmute myself. Yeah.
Oh, because you have to be muted in Discord now.
This is like a mildly organized
Maybe
Zoom
between
call.
us. I even considered, it was like, oh, Dave, I'll just drive over to your place right now and barge in like I used to in the boardroom, but we didn't have that much time to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, that was usually your role, was a little bit of chaos back when we weren't working remotely. He'd barge in every now and then, introduce a little chaos.
5 minutes. Dave's done being productive. It's time for me to come in and just mess everything up for a minute here. The chaotic energy. Andy was asking what I'm drinking today. This is just a nice homemade espresso.
I'm out of coffee. Look at this. How dare.
My CSGO cup, official Valve merchandise. They don't sell it anymore. It's limited edition. LE. Dave, you want to get some coffee, you said?
Oh, I made the mistake of starting stream without any sort of beverage beside me. But hey, that's at least good. If anyone's been around Feedback Friday long enough, I did destroy a laptop by pouring coffee on it. So I'm always a little bit nervous. I can't live that one down.
Got to do it. My laptop's over here. My coffee's here. I've got a bit of a distance. Even if it spills, it would kind of have some travel time. I could throw napkins down onto it,
Hey, Script says, the audio quality isn't that bad, to be honest. So, hey, maybe this jerry rig is working a little bit, other than Giorgio probably getting some echo on his end that he's going to have to deal with.
It's actually not coming through anymore, so that's not bad. I'm not hearing you back through Discord, so.
We figured it out. A precarious setup. Generic Potato asks, I see elite chromes, please. That was interesting. Eagle-eyed hunters may have noticed in the patch notes when we added mice back to some elite maps there that we did mention elite chromes. And so kind of behind the scenes, we do keep that list maintained for when and if the day should come. So that kind of slipped into the patch notes. But right now, there is no such thing as an elite chrome, at least that you can obtain. But we are keeping it maintained behind the scenes.
Back to the coffee questions. Scribdev asks if I'm a pour-over man. I enjoy pour-over, but typically the espresso machine is just what I do in the morning. Easy, dump in the grinds, pack it down. Lift the glass. You got to lift the mug up like this.
Have to.
Before you drink it.
It increases flavor profile.
It increases flavor profile.
But are there any hunters out there who use the mobile app quite a bit when you are doing treasure maps? So definitely kind of on the team, feedback we've gotten before and kind of sentiment on the team is we would love to kind of smooth things out just a little bit there. Some of the navigation, it's a little hard to move back and forth when you're looking at a map to then go to your invites and then still get to your scrolls. So we're planning a little bit of an overhaul there. Zach says, these bullet points are all amazing. I want it all. Updates to community map listings for sure, and calling mice for sure. That's something we didn't touch on yet either, but that was another idea floating around. And I think Giorgio, you got the inspiration there when you're just doing some Sky Palace, or not Sky Palace, the Floating Islands maps. I think with Michelle, if you want to describe it.
Maps. Yeah, I've been doing Sky Pirate maps since the beginning with Michelle and a couple others, and we've used we use the corkboard, but sometimes it's nice to like at a glance I can go, wait, which ones are free? What can I just dive into right now? And I have to kind of go between looking at the in-game interface to see, okay, what loot am I lower on that I want to go after? Which ones are lined up right now, and then which ones aren't taken yet? And having a little extra tool there to sort of flag or target or call a mouse would be a nice tool, I think. And we're playing around with the ideas there. Hold on, train. Let me close my window here. Playing around with the ideas, whether it's like if a hunter tags a mouse, it's just one of them, or you can do multiples, or multiple other hunters can also tag the same mouse. So we're gonna experiment a bit with that, but I think it's something I'd like to see in this release for sure.
Yeah. Chris says a call feature would be superb. Jason had a random question there. Does the Hunters Online include mobile people? Absolutely, yeah. It's everybody playing the game who has at least taken a hunt or loaded the game in the last hour, and they appear in that count. You thought the message section for maps was for calling them? Yeah, absolutely, Diamond, but looking to streamline that. And I think some of the inspiration there was seeing how often the corkboard gets used for coordinating who's hunting what. Maybe you could streamline it, like almost think of it, you have a little like a little disc with your face on it, and you put it next to all the mice that you're going to call out. I'm seeking those ones. Maybe, I'm getting these paragons, or hey, I'll go get the Black Widows. Like, okay, cool. We'll go get all the rest while you camp that out.
Dave, do you want to show those two like little quick mock-ups that I did as like two ideas that we're kind of brainstorming for how that would look visually?
It's a good idea. Let me see if I can find that.
Might help kind of explain, if they're wondering like how does that work, and to show the visual elements of it essentially. While you do that, someone was asking, I missed it, where'd it go? About how kicking would work. Where is this question? How did I miss it already? Whoa. Oh, there. Sorry. Laura was asking, I don't understand what happens when someone is kicked. Is this different from someone voluntarily dropping off? So we'll get into it, but it would be a new feature and something we're still exploring. And it would be optional in that the map itself would maybe have like a setting. And when you're joining it, it's like this map has this kicking functionality enabled. And so when you leave a map right now, nothing happens except for that you've left the map, the spot gets opened up, and all the mice you caught are still there, and so on and so forth. Nothing will change about that whatsoever. This kicking idea would be if it's essentially to help with leechers. There's a bit of an issue there where people open up their map to the public, post it on the community. Some people join, don't do anything, and then get to kind of get a free treasure chest, and it's not fair to the rest of the hunting team who is doing work to finish the map and catch all the mice and get the treasure chest. And this would allow the map owners to kick someone and say, hey, you're not really helping out. I'm going to bump you off, get another person on here who wants to actually lend a hand. And then to sort of mitigate and avoid the kicking from being abused, essentially, hey, you come onto my map, you do a bunch of work, then I kick you, and then I bring my friend on who gets the chest with all the work you did. This would remove the mice that person caught. And that way that prevents the owners from using it in that sort of like mean way, essentially. So I don't know if hopefully that answers your question there, Laura.
Diamond calls it flagging would be useful for sections like the labyrinth. Yeah, absolutely. Know which district somebody's going after. That was another thing. We're trying to think about what term makes sense, like calling a mouse, dibs on a mouse, flagging a mouse, targeting a mouse. Kind of what's the verb there?
Yeah, there's a few words. Yeah, I think internally we're just saying target, but of course the way the players will call it, whatever we end up using there, is important, and we can brainstorm some synonyms there to help with explaining what it is at a glance, essentially.
Yeah. Subra there says about the ability to kick should lock in. Yes, absolutely. So the idea there is, hey, the person says this map has kicking enabled or disabled. once someone joins that map, or maybe once invites go out, that's it. You're not allowed to change it. So the captain, it's grayed out and says, sorry, you can't change this in the middle of the map because that's what everyone agreed to at the start, that, hey, there's not going to be allowed to anyone to be kicked from this map, so you have to stick to that, or otherwise abandon the map. Likewise, if you have it on, then you can't turn it off while it's up and running either. I'll share some of these mock-ups as well here, Giorgio.
Yeah, sure, go for it. Yeah, effectively, to what David was saying there, before anyone joined the map, before invites were sent out, that's the only kind of place that the setting can be set. And then once an invite goes out, that kind of locks it in for that entire map, so that it's communicated clearly that when you receive an invite and it says this is an invite to a kickable map, whatever we end up calling it, it's not lying to you. Essentially, it's very clear, and it is what it says it is.
Yeah, James says, how about if a player has more than so many mice, they cannot be kicked? That was something we were thinking about as well, but realistically, if you've captured a lot of mice, and if you're removed and all those mice get removed from the map, then I feel like there's already incentive on the captain's side to like, well, I don't really want to remove that person because they were doing a good job. They were, we were all cooperating there. So I think it's about kind of allowing that choice and that autonomy to be open, because either way that it happens, kind of somebody has choice and somebody doesn't. It probably makes sense that the person running the map has that autonomy and has that choice available to them.
Yeah, it's like Dave was saying, it kind of like self-polices a little bit. Instead of like, you gotta make sure you work hard enough to get enough mice to be protected from being kicked, because what if you got to 9, you were 1 off from that threshold. I think the removal of the mice you've captured is enough of an incentive, or an anti-incentive to the owner of the map to not kick you, because now someone else is going to have to do all that work again, and it sort of protects. But and then again, it being an opt-in setting it's not all maps, would also help with understanding what you're getting into, essentially.
Yeah. Shifting back to targeting here, so I very haphazardly pulled up 2 of these developer-style mock-ups here. So kind of 2 ways we were thinking about allowing you to kind of call out or flag mice, or say, hey, this is the one that I'm going after, or the many that you're going after. If you're going after a whole district of mice in the labyrinth, as Diamond said there. One where you still see all the mice. Am I pointing at the right one? There we go. One where you still see all the mice, and you can almost think of it like a little roulette chip, and you're putting your face on the mice that you want to say, hey, that's the one I'm targeting, team, FYI. Or the one way over there, kind of separating that out. Hey, Giorgio's going after these mice. Dave's going after these mice. Keeping in mind there might be duplicates as well. Maybe we both say we're going after the Black Widow. She's rare. Let's put 2 people on the Black Widow.
Yeah, so a couple of sort of visual indicators there. Like the one example on the left where it's circled, if this is how we displayed it, but you could have multiple people after the same one, that's going to get a little hectic if a bunch of people target it and it's like a party-sized map or a rainbow map, somewhere where there's a lot of hunters. So we're still sort of exploring some of the visual elements of it, but I think the concept is clear enough, and it helps with. You can still use the cork port, of course, but a little more a visual indication, more communication tools essentially for the mapping team to know who's going after what. Chris here saying that the right feels easier because the untargeted mice are then all together. Yeah, part of me kind of likes that. I know it makes the whole display taller now, but then at a glance you go, okay, all these mice in this group on the right side, no one's kind of directly targeting them, so you kind of know at a glance that they're available for picking up. At the same time, the one on the left does indicate that to some degree, but then at another kind of bonus to the right side one is I can look at all the mice that Giorgio or whoever is targeting in a single group, instead of having to kind of find that same avatar binked around on all the mice in the big group. But yeah, few pros and cons across the board, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It is tricky. Each has its strengths. And I think in the chat there, picking up likewise, kind of the left being a little more concise, cleaner, less on the screen. The right being a little bit better, where okay, what mice have people not targeted? It's very easy to almost treat that like a little shopping list of the mice that you're going to go and try to hunt, as well as you get a nice picture of a story. So imagine it says, hey, Giorgio's going after these mice, and all of them are Tech District Labyrinth. It's like he's doing the tech run. Okay, I get it. Cool. So like at a glance, it tells a bit more of a story, but there's also a little bit more going on. Yeah, Chris says a sort filter would be the best of both.
Yeah, that could be neat just to kind of look at, if you look at the box on the right, and instead of having uh, avatars pinging all over the place, you could click a button, or even by default, maybe, because right now I don't even know what order this is in. I think it's just the order of the way the mice were picked for the actual map. We could have it where the orders change to be anything that's been targeted, put it first, and group it by the player that targeted it. So that kind of takes care of both. Like my personal desire is to group it in some way without making another category, which makes everything much taller. That could be an option. Yeah.
Yeah, still kind of like we said at the start, kind of things we're ideating, things we're looking at, kind of shifting around, different ideas floating around. So still a lot of work to be done in kind of finalizing, pinning down all the details. Yeah, KDM suggested you could show the number of people who are targeting that mouse, and then when you hover over it, the tooltip shows you everyone who's targeting it. Yeah.
Train sounds. Yeah, that's neat too, because right now when you click on a mouse, you get the pop up to the right, or if you when you're hovering, that same pop up either persists or not when you click on it. Maybe that's where the grouped names could appear, and then when you click the mouse, when it persists on the right, that's you can go over and go, I want to target this. There's a button there to sort of add your face to the pool of mice that you, or sort of to the pool of other hunters that are happen to be targeting this mouse.
Add your face to the pool on a hot day to cool
Add your
off,
face to the
Giorgio.
pool. Going back, I guess no, we can keep chatting with it. I had something KDM said earlier, asked about sniper slot ideas, and I think we brought it up in the past too. It was actually sort of like we experimented with it a bit and kind of did some local like implementation and testing of it, but we didn't nail down all the specifics for how it would work in terms of the way players currently do it, because it's very like at this point it's down to a science. The hunters are on Discord or in their Facebook groups, wherever they happen to be. The sniping community kind of knows what they're doing essentially, and we didn't want to implement this feature and I guess mess that up in any way. Or now there's two ways to do sniping, either the old way or the new way, and some people think one's better and then the other. So there's still some unknowns there and stuff we want to explore. That won't be anything we're going to be touching on at all this season, but it's still open for sort of that kind of brainstorming and conversation around how to best do it, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple good questions here as well. So if someone could be removed from a map, if they rejoined, would all the mice come back? I'd probably venture a guess to probably no, but it might be technically feasible. That's an interesting suggestion. As well as concerns about treasure map clues. So, or treasure map eggs. Actually, the eggs would be a lot more challenging. The clues would go away. But yeah, that's a valid concern actually. During the spring egg hunt, removing somebody from a map, if you got a bunch of easy mice on the map, you join it, you get a bunch of treasure map eggs, you kick them, they come back, they get all those easy eggs, you kick them, they come back, and it would introduce a bit of an interesting cycle.
I think if right now when someone requests a map invite, for instance, on a public map posted to the community, and it gets declined, they can't send another one again, because then it'd just be like, you'd be getting spam as the owner. I think with kicking, it would be similar. Once you've been kicked, that's kind of it for you for this map. You're not able to come back again. But that's a great point about, the clues, having to do something with the clues, the free loot that you got, if it was map eggs and so on. That's one I, even, top of my head, I can't even think of what we would do there.
Yeah, that egg may have to transition to be like a non-kick map egg, which might be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
May have to modify that to do something else. But again, these are roughly two in the order in which we've been sort of prioritizing those. So we went through kind of the brainstorming, the ideation phase. Then we go through kind of a proposal phase, kind of firm up those ideas, give them a little bit more of a vision and go through the details there. And then we kind of firm it up into a doc so we can assess scope and see like, well, how long is this going to take to build? And that's kind of where we're at right now. And we realize, well, there's not quite enough time for everything. And so you can almost think this list is sort of our order of priority. Like the mobile map interface needs a little bit of love. Even there's a couple bugs that would just be nice to prioritize those, get those right at the top of the list to fix. Improvements to community maps, pretty well almost every Feedback Friday. Somebody comes in asking for search, filter, and sort. So that's really high on our priority list. And then we get into kind of the new features, right? Like the calling mice thing. There's a little bit more uncertainty because it's something new. It's not making what's there better. It's actually introducing something brand new. Same with this ability to kick. It's brand new. So who knows what little like rough edges and loose ends there are to sort out. So those ones, they're on the chopping block a little bit more than the first two.
Yeah, for sure. That's sort of what we went through last year too with the community maps. It was like brand new, so it was experimental. We kind of had some caveats and but then it worked out well. It performed well. We were kind of worried about some back end issues there with the database and how we would handle it, but it worked out. So now it's like, hey, cool. This is a permanent feature. We want to keep this going and make it better, add new things to it. Whereas, yeah, if we kind of start to hit a bit of a wall and some uncertainties with the targeting and we can't nail it down, we'll just take the work we've done, save it, and then kind of push it back rather to the next year.
Yeah, some concerns too about, well, what kicking and leaving, those would still be two separate concepts. So someone leaving a map, the mice would all remain. So, any sort of sniper mentality there, somebody joining the map, they're going to get one mouse and then they're going to leave. That would still be A-okay. They'd be able to rejoin the map, wouldn't remove any of the mice or anything like that. So that action of kick would be different. Another concern as well, if somebody accidentally kicks somebody, is that going to be problematic? Well, I mean, there'll be a confirm box on it, and it'd be the same as if you accidentally, discard a map and you're the last person on it. Yeah, same thing. It's like sometimes just all there is a confirm box to make sure you want to do something because you can't undo it. Or smashing certain items, making stuff, buying something from the shop that you can't sell back. There are just some options that where the confirm step is this is your last chance to be able to undo this.
A little thing I just thought of too that again would be a bit of a functional concern, almost an onion in the ointment. What happens if a hunter leaves of their own accord? And so of course the mice they've caught stay there, but then they later rejoin, which is optional, or which you can do, and then get kicked. Do all the mice still get removed, or only the mice that since they rejoined and then got kicked from, and then everything before that is still saved? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the kind of little loose ends, especially when you're working with something that's dealt with the same assumption for a long enough time. Changing something, you got to go through all the assumptions that were made while it's been maintained. Yeah, Hugh says it. While you can't stand a leecher, I don't agree with the kick option. It will be abused. I think sort of what sentiment came up was no matter which way you go, whether you can do it or you can't, someone is able to be, I don't know, victimized is a strong word, but there's that a potential for abuse on either side. And kind of starting to lean towards it makes more sense that if somebody joining the map, they're in the position of power. Like somebody has to be, right? I think it makes more sense the person who doled out the resources to start the map, they're the one in control. They're the owner of the map, rather than the people joining the map. They're kind of the owner of the map now. So, again, like just kind of food for thought. It's something we're exploring and we're interested in getting feedback on, but I'm not fully committed to at the moment.
Yeah, it's a great, that's the main question is like the first guys think, oh, well, they're just going to start kicking willy-nilly and then just to get their friends aboard. But when I started to think about it myself, with the right sort of tools in place and like this, I think the removing of the mice they caught is key. Like that would have to be part of it. You're going to kind of think twice, or the people who would do it to be sort of like to victimize someone would be only, kind of shooting themselves in the foot as a result. And currently, like Dave was saying, it is happening to some capacity that leechers are causing that kind of negative experience. So there's going to be some negativity, let's say, on either side of the coin here, whether we have kicking or allow leechers to stick around. I think I'm just going forward as is. And where we lessen that sort of bad feeling is what we're trying to fix and essentially, focus on.
Yeah.
And we thought some people here are asking about vote kicking. We thought about that too, but again, I think it would be also kind of exploited too, because then if the owner doesn't want it to happen, but 3 others who joined are voting in the majority, let's say, that's also a hard, hard to mitigate, hard to sort of control that experience in a way that's positive for everyone. That's an interesting point here. Thomas Chamberlain says, I like the kick idea, but shouldn't be implemented until a map, I guess a sniping payment feature could be implemented to protect snipers. If the map then doesn't pay for Zokor LG boss and then kicks, major abuses abound, or major issues. Yeah, that's interesting too. Someone else too was asking a little, I think it was Oliver, about the sort of automated sniping process, and I touched on it a bit earlier too, but that could be almost, yeah, protected status. Let's say this person, they've joined to do this job, and if they're hunting until this certain mouse gets caught, they get automatically kicked anyway, and they receive their payment. That slot, let's say the mercenary slot, you can't kick that person. But the reason we haven't done that a little more, now that you bring it up again, I'm remembering some of the things around, how long should we let that sniper try to get the mouse, because then you get into the same difficult sort of spot of, and it currently happens, right? I'm sure there are people who are like, I'm a sniper, sure, and then they don't do it, and then now they're just a leecher, essentially. Or they take too long, or someone else happens to catch it, then what? And then they don't leave, and so there's, again, a lot of unknowns there too, but that could be an interesting approach that if we nail down the specifics of the sniping functionality in the future, that could come together with the kicking stuff as well in some way.
Yeah, Michelle's reiterating a point too, if you're just joining. So the idea would be you choose whether you want this feature on or off. And even when you join a map, you know what it is. So for instance, if you're joining a map and maybe you're giving somebody something and you're like, hey, I'm going to leech this map, but I'm giving you compensation for that. So you want to be a leecher on the map, and the captain says, cool, you are welcome. Please come aboard. Thank you. Then I would say that map captain would leave kicking turned off so that they know, okay, here you go, I'm going to join the map and I'm going to leech, and we agreed to this. Then when you're sitting on the map, I can't be kicked. The captain has it turned off. But if they invite you to a map and they say, you're joining it as a leecher, and that's the agreement there. If they invite you, and it'll say right in the invite, warning, you can be kicked from this map. You might be like, no, what are you doing here? Don't do that. And so you'll be able to kind of see what mode the map is in. It'll also be very insightful, I think, to be able to see how many people toggle that on and off, and kind of what happens and who does what. Kind of more concrete feedback too of seeing how popular it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it gives lots of choice. Everyone, players of different play styles, they can choose to use it in the way they want, and you can opt out of it. You can opt into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Calvin X here says, leechers can also be map owners. Public maps are opened by the owner, but they do not accept new hunters. Yeah, for sure. But I think, again, from that angle of it, the map owner who opens it up, they're doing that maybe because they don't have maybe a lot of friends to connect with, or a regular hunting team, so they're looking for help, and they've spent the resources to buy the map. And sometimes it's not always a very expensive map, but I think I would be okay if I don't have enough seals for a Sky Pirate map, and I see one publicly posted, and I join it, and the owner isn't doing anything. I'm okay with that, because they've spent the seals that I didn't have to enable me to now get the rewards from the chest. That's an okay transaction, to me at least.
I'll even add a note to make it clear as well. It's kind of once you set that mode and people join the map, you can't change it anymore. So there's no sort of bait and switch happening.
Oh, sure, yeah. There was another, David, maybe you didn't see it. Let me see if I can track it down real quick. To the rules, the list of rules there in terms of what happens when a map is kickable and all that.
Yes, it's all great.
That was it. That was the kicking mode cannot be changed once the hunter has joined, and now you've gone in and added that. Cool.
Yeah, this is all great kind of discussion, some notes, almost like a flow chart of all the different flows, because it's quite, it seems simple when you go to use it, but thinking through all the different scenarios and states, there's quite a bit of different flows that happen of joining maps, leaving maps, and etc., and catching mice, invites, accepting invites. So we're almost kind of thinking like a flow chart of what happens during all these flows. So definitely that's something that came up while we were firming that up from the proposal. phase, and why it got put toward the bottom is kind of on the chopping block first, because there's a lot more to it than it seems. Yeah, lots of sentiments too in the chat for kind of an official sort of system to replicate what the community has done. And again, if you're just joining us, that's it's not off the table, but it's kind of outside the scope of what we're looking to do, at least short term. And definitely don't want to kind of end up doing a worse job of that than the community currently manages. So I think that requires a lot of thought and a lot of time to be put into it.
Yeah. KDM, actually, you brought up a question that we discussed ourselves. KDM asked, what if map and ship transfer? Will the kick toggle will remain the same? And then actually we brought it up as a discussion point internally, saying that I think that once a map has been set, again, like it's been set to that kicking mode and it's enabled, it can no longer be transferred either. And that would, again, just to kind of prevent a bit of confusion about what happens, because if it persists, the setting, and then the new owner is a little differently mind hid, let's say, and kicks everyone off. I mean, again, mitigated by the fact that they'd have to do all the work again. I think it kind of makes sense to me, at least, that once it's been set, you can't really do much else. Like, so the map is not kind of locked in, and this group is the one that's going forward and finishing the map. No new owner can be set. And of course, once it enters, it's been completed or enters constellation mode, you can no longer kick at that point either, because then it's the same way you can't join a map once it's been completed. So all those rules that, like Dave was saying, the flow chart of like what happens in all these different little scenarios, I think ownership can't be transferred once kicking mode's been enabled.
Yeah, or you just lock it in either way, because it might be a little troublesome if you can't transfer a map. But as long as, hey, I would almost treat it like, hey, whether you're doing an easy Relic Hunter map or a medium, it's like you cannot change the easy part of that, right? You could dust it, people can come and leave, the captain might change, but it's almost like, no, now this is a kick-enabled easy map, and once that is the map. So everybody joining it knows these are the rules of the map I'm joining, and it can't change. Kind of a cornerstone of any game is the rules are not allowed to change once the game has begun. If you're playing Monopoly and halfway through decide, well, you know what? You don't get 200 when you pass go anymore, and somebody's four spaces away from go. Like, what? No, I want my 200. What are you talking about?
There's another idea too. People are sort of talking about toggles when it's like leechers finding. If you're in like almost like a looking for a group kind of mode. You're not in a regular group. You don't have a guild, and you want to do a raid and an MMO. So you just want any old, other players to jump on and just get in there with you. So instead of the opt-in feature where you can kick or you can't kick, and that's the sort of user story or the narrative there, it's more like it's a locked-in map. And so once you join, no, this is not going to work. I'm already second-guessing myself. I was going to say, like, you can't leave the map. It's like, hey, this is our group, and if you leave it, it's not allowed to leave. But then, like, the leechers are still a problem. You still have to be able to kick. I take it all back.
At the end of the day, like so many things, I think the fewer rules, the better, right? Like, and then it kind of, anytime that, you as a player, you are in control of kind of what happens, and then the people playing with you, they know exactly what the rules are, and they're in control in a different way as well. Kind of then everybody can kind of find the way of doing things that they like. Shall we attempt the trivia? And Giorgio, I think you can be an active participant here.
Quad!
The Quar. It's been a while since you've been able to announce the Quar.
The Quar. I've only been able to say it a few times in chat, maybe. But yeah, now I can say it with my real voice.
And forgive me here, I don't have you on the trivia slide. Normally, I'm not even there, but I found that was a little bit weird. So you'll be in voice but not video.
Okay. 48.
49. I believe it is a non-numerical answer this week, and the question is, what was the most recent occurrence of a trap being the limited edition Relic Hunter seasonal reward? I apologize for the white text on the white background as I'm seeing it right now.
Wait, what does that mean? What is this question?
So we have seasonal rewards, and the last several years they've always been bases, but what was the last time it was a trap or a weapon, not a base?
Let me just look this up in the code.
Season 3 Warden Slayer, I'm going to fully admit that I might be wrong as well. It's happened in the past. I think my success rate's probably around 80-90% of me getting the answer right. So I could be wrong. Warden Slayer seems like a good guess. It's not the one I have. I have the one that Cam has there.
Cam. Cam says. You have the one that Cam has.
The Crystal Mineral Crusher Trap was in 2016. That was the last time that it wasn't a base, or you could get a trap as the limited edition reward.
Oh, the most recent. Yeah, okay. Because season 3 Warden Slayer was correct in terms of its season, but it's a little older. Yeah, okay.
I'll put the reward link in the chat as well. Andy says, "Oh, that was the season I didn't participate." Uh-oh.
Yeah, because then after that was all bases. And it was actually only like one. It was Ancient Booster Base. Actually, that's maybe a question for a follow-up Quar question. What's the most recent any reward that was the only reward until we started doing 2 rewards per season? Which season was it?
When there was just
was
one
the
Ellie
very
reward?
last single Ellie reward, as opposed to since then we've been doing 2 at a time.
Was that the Warden Slayer?
No, it was after.
After the Warden Slayer. The Black Widow base?
Because the Black Widow was tied with a Feroma, like together. There was a double. And that was season 6.
Guess from the chat, Ancient Booster Base, season 5? Really?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I thought that one was maybe with the Black Widow.
Because Warden Slayer was, season 3. Then the one for the main Quar was the Crystal Mineral Crusher. That was season 4. Season 5 was the Ancient Booster Base. And then we've been doing, since season 6, we've been doing 2 rewards per season. Nice.
Marin says that the rewards were happiness all along. The Ancient Gauntlet, that's going back a ways. I like the art on that trap, how it's literally just a...
Yeah, the giant claw gauntlet. Sick.
In Mudkip, the rewards were the friends we made along the way. Couldn't say it better. That's any multiplayer game, that's always the best reward. All good things must come to an end, and when they do, you'll most likely look back and think about the friends you made and the experiences you had with those people more than maybe the gold you had or the items you earned, per se. So that's always a great reward. Mark asks, does raw Ancient Jade get doubled by loot cache? Since loot cache doesn't state it doubles Jade, that might be good to clarify, but yes, it certainly does. Can make a note.
When you have a loot cache enabled, you should see that in the mice drop getting affected and getting like highlighted in the HUD. So that's a good note.
Yeah. Well, I'll jot that down. Maybe the tooltip doesn't say Jade. It probably mentions everything but Jade.
Oh, okay. But yeah, if you see it interacting in the HUD, where when you hover over the loot cache, it highlights the other loot types that can be doubled, and then the little, what's it called? I guess like a mice can drop section of little tiny icons is affected there. You should see the Jade there getting increased in the same way or in Glass do.
But if you don't have a Jade multiplier on your island, you gotta rely on the tooltip to learn what it does for the first time, maybe. So. Caleb asks, do we have an idea when Season 9 will start? Sorry if you said already, missed it. Sometime in November is usually, it's been pretty good timing to change out the season between Halloween and the Great Winter Hunt. So that's the plan. No firm absolute date yet, but that is the tentative date, is sometime in November.
A beer asks, would it be possible to include an MH Wiki button in the app as well? Is there no way to currently link to the wiki from the app?
I'm not sure.
Let's take a look here real quick. It's help and support, but that's that's the real help. Yeah, there's no link, I guess. Let's write that down. Yeah, I think it should go like right between news and help and support. Little MouseHunt wiki right there would be great.
John says we're really impressed with the Sky Palace. Great farming area, but eat tons of charms. Yeah, I think that, I think hunters have found that great as well. A place to finally use a lot of those terms you've been maybe holding on to for a while. Final Heart asked, did the recent Richard enriched cloud cheesecake patch affect his attraction rate in Palace as well as low altitude, high altitude? Yeah, it should carry over to both. Kind of the way, there's a lot of moving parts in the way those mice get added, but by changing the loot cache, it's technically associated with that. So anywhere loot cache appears, it would carry on throughout. It was fairly minor, just a little tiny. There's something magical about 5% being kind of something about 1 in 20 and the way the kind of deviation lays out there. So just a couple percent boost just to kind of give it a little bit more of an obvious feedback over time.
Nice.
Old agenda item, get to the teammate profile from the team page on mobile. That's another section that could use kind of a dedicated overhaul as well. I mean, part of it, I think in the back of our minds, is waiting for the tournaments to one day maybe be smoothed out, as they're not the most functional of things.
Oh yeah, just a pop-up. You can't go to like the full page for them. Interesting. Yeah, it's just a lot of older interfaces, and we haven't revisited some of them on mobile, but for sure it needs a bit of more like unification there. And as we add some things to one side, we want to update the other as well to match as much as possible.
Over asks about Elite Map rewards being buffed in Season 9. We did on Feedback Friday, we were exploring that a little bit, and it got a little bit more complicated than we thought. So we thought we would kind of compile all of our notes and tuck that away for Season 9 to review again a little bit later. And yeah, that is on the docket, is to take another look, set aside some time to do a little bit more of a deep dive and try to increase the rewards for Elite Maps. But we're not quite sure where that is, but we did set aside some time to at least take a closer look. Final Heart says, on the topic of maps, are the plan for Halloween maps, since we'll be getting a location? Yes, so kind of rule of thumb is if an event takes place at a special event location, Festive Comet, the Super Brie Factory, then yes, maps make a lot of sense because you stay there and you're capturing the event mice, and that's the whole point of it. The stockpile version ones, they don't lend themselves as well to it, because often, like Lunar New Year, for example, the fun part is actually kind of after you catch the event mice, go forth and double and triple your loot drops. And so those work really well with area specific maps. Maybe you're doing the floating islands and you want to get double ore glass, double seal drops, double pirate seals. Then just do a floating islands map while you're going about your goals there.
Yeah, true.
John says, any chance of having extra rich cloud cheesecake in the marketplace? It was a little bit of a rough edge. I think we spoke about this last week as well. And ultimately, we decided to just keep the cloud cheesecake because that is kind of the ingredient that makes it. There's just kind of some awkwardness of having them both tradable. If we had a time machine, I think we would go back and curd would be the thing that was tradable, not the cheese. So, who knows if we kind of find a more perfect solution for that down the road. But at least for the time being, just keeping the one type of cheese tradable. Yep, but as Andy points out, you can buy regular and then go to the shop and convert it all up. So if you want a piece, buy 20 regular cheesecake, and then the shop convert it, or 10 plus a magic essence. Well, shall we wrap things up, Giorgio?
Sure. Actually, I wanted to ask you, Dave. You brought up. They mentioned that the Halloween stuff. They know about some of the details there about what's coming.
Yeah, we touched on it a bit, exploring kind of having its own home at a unique location like the Festive Comet, maybe something in the burrows.
Sure. So if that kind of, we're still exploring it, but if that does work out and that's what we end up doing, then to answer Final Heart's question, is it back on the topic of maps? Are there any plans for Halloween maps since we're getting a Halloween location? If we do go forward with that and things work out and we have an actual dedicated location for it, then yeah, there'll be some Halloween maps that would coincide there nicely.
No, think that's a good point. I was speaking of context of knowing what we discussed last week, so that's important
Yeah,
for
that's all
context. Yeah, we are looking at doing something new, not necessarily ghost ships, but we're not quite sure whether we have time to completely do that. But if we end up in that direction, then maps would make sense because it'll be like the Festive Comet. If we don't and it's ghost ships, then you know what to expect if you're around last year, and then that isn't as good of a fit for maps.
Yeah. Cool. Ben Lal wants me to rap the credits. Do we have credits? Oh, like in the lyrics themselves, if there's a song. Or
We do have outro
get
music.
Scrolling credits. Produced by Dave Annenberg.
I would
Your
have to get.
host, Dave Annenberg. Made by Dave Annenberg.
I know Jacob's been looking to make overlays. I think he started a little bit, so I would have to add the mic to that scene, just for fun, for old time's sake. I'm confusing myself though. It's not often can I not do it once this is going. Oh, I might have to do it after. No, there we go.
Oh yeah, Norm is here. Hi, Norm. Norm says there were ghost ship maps last year. There were? I guess they kind of were because when you were farming for the cannibals or the Avenchies, you could catch. But they were simpler maps, simpler event maps, not ones where you could sort of like choose your experience, if that makes sense.
Oh, were there? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the KDM says when Geo appears is usually after credits, like in Marvel movies. Yeah, you have to stay for after the credits because there's always an extra scene when I've been here.
Alrighty, well, on that note, we'll wrap things up. We'll get to those exciting credits, or lack thereof. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Hunters. Compiled some nice notes as well that we can go back, and we've been setting aside a little time next week to kind of collate Colgate toothpaste.
Yeah,
we're gonna put some Colgate. Yeah. But we're going to kind of pour through that, kind of firm up a few things as well. So it was great getting everyone's feedback too. And hey, keep the discussion going as well. You know, Facebook on the fan page, Discord as well. It's always great to kind of see what questions and what topics of discussion arise there. We always kind of peek in a little bit here and kind of gauge underlining sentiments, at least kind of vocal sentiments as well. So keep the discussion going as well. Thanks for joining us this week, Hunters. I think next week would be Jacob. On the topic of Halloween, originally I was planning maybe to get into Halloween a little bit more next week, but that may have to wait one further week. But at least we'll definitely know what we're doing by then. So thanks for joining me, Hunters. Thanks for joining me as well, Giorgio. It's a pleasure having you today.
That's me. Yeah, it was good to have a classic FBF. It's been quite the while. I want to say I'm going to do some math. Ready for some math? Hold on.
I'm not always ready for math. I'm usually ready for math.
I'm going to say... No, you were sick that day. Oh, man. I'm going to say the 28th of February was the last time you and I would have been on Feedback Friday. Of 2020, we would have been on Feedback Friday together.
I think that lines up.
So due days since online calculator.
I think I've used that calculator a few times myself.
Oh, I love this calculator.
You know, that tracks because I believe it was before St. Patrick's Day when we kind of shifted to full remote. So February.
So on the 6th of Friday, apparently you were sick, so you couldn't have done Feedback Friday then. The 13th, I was away. I'd taken it off for the just to have a long weekend. And then, oops, the next Monday, I was like, I guess I'm not going back to the office. And so this says 546 days, Dave, to the day, if I'm correct, since we were both on FBF together.
Those are some days.
Those are some days.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for joining us, Hunters. We can even chat a little bit as we roll these outro credits. I think, yeah, look at that. The mic even worked.
Oh, that's true, though. We did have a special Christmas stream where all the team on a big Discord video call.
Oh, yeah, Jacob, he had organized that.
That's why it worked in the window. And I was like, how do we get the audio working better?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's Windows is straightforward. You can capture your just your video or your audio card basically. But
yeah.
Mike is still open, FYI, as well. I left that open.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, Mike, like the store, Mike's. Coming down to Mike's, it's open.
Yeah, Mike's Convenience.
Oh man, did you hear about that cool thing that Larry, the Friendly Knight, did recently?
Oh no, I didn't. Is he up to his shenanigans again?
He was on MouseHunt and he went to a secret page, mousehuntgame.com slash secret page.php, and only Larry can access it though. And he was like just giving out rewards to himself. I think we gotta ban him.
He's up to that again. All right. Well, we're gonna have to see.
Larold. That's when he's in trouble. We call him Larold.
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 Is he ready to get some more temporal turbines? Probably.
He was what? Sorry.
He's probably trying to get more temporal turbines. He seems to be collecting those ever since that one winter hunt.
Yeah, the chrome ones too. Well, this was fun. Thanks everybody for welcoming me with open smiles. Because they don't have arms on text, but they could put smiley faces, you know? And the train's coming. Can you hear the train coming through on your end there? Everyone?
I wait with a trap and a bait, but they ain't biting on a single one. I'm waiting on a mouse today. Anyhow, it'll be just fine.